Hi everyone, please support our videos on Patreon. The link's at the end of the video and in the down there part. Thank you, you're lovely.
I liked it, so untype that comment right now. I have a bad relationship with anime. Actually, no, I wouldn't say that. I have the same relationship with Japanese cartoons that I have with American and European cartoons. It's just that anime has a much more aggressive American fan base. Weebs are a very insecure bunch, and I get a lot of harassment for not being into all the serious anime that they're obsessed with. In fact, I've had a very negative view of the industry for quite some time. Its most common tropes bother me, its treatment of women bother me, and the over-reliance on perv pandering bothers me, but more than that, the subject matter bothers me. See, I've never been under the impression that there isn't good anime, just that in a Venn diagram between anime that weebs like and anime that's actually good, there is no intersection. Weebs have the same attitudes about what makes quality as cartoon fandom, but there's more things pandering to their tastes over there. So when someone says they don't like anime, their first thought is to shove those things into people's faces, as if they just assume people's problems with anime is that it isn't adult enough. And this has always turned me off. I already didn't like these shows on my home continent, I'm not gonna like them from somewhere else. I could never be an anime fan because the only anime I've enjoyed are the ones that are completely unlike what anime is usually like. I remember really enjoying Cardcaptors growing up, but that came with the caveat of a Canadian dubbing company stripping every horrible, disgusting thing out of it.
No, we're not keeping the romance arc between a 4th grade student and her teacher. I don't care about your artistic vision, Clamp. It's not legal over here.
And I still have very fond feelings about Hamtaro and Metabots. Even recently, there was one show called Sweetness and Lightning that actually looked like it would be right up my alley. There's just one little problem. It's never been localized, which immediately takes the wind out of my sails. Oh yeah, sure, good anime exists, it's just all the way over there with an entire language barrier in the way. Ah, shucks, if only I cared enough to become trilingual. Over the years, a few shows have been thrown across my desk by far savvier correspondents, only to come with the big oozing caveat that if I want to watch it, I'll have to focus on the bottom 2 inches of the screen with my brain consciously filtering out visuals, music, voice acting, and the very idea of looking away from the screen for more than half a second if I want to follow along with the story. And as someone who likes to multitask and actually enjoys the auditory experience of watching a show, no thanks. So my go-to response to any show that crosses my social media feed that actually looks like it would be good is, oh, that looks cute, let me know if it gets an English release. So imagine my surprise when someone popped into my inbox to say, hey Lily, Spy Family got an English release, a few days after I mentioned seeing its subtitled trailer on Twitter. And I was like, oh fuck, really? Alright, I'm in. Because that shit looked fucking great. Fake marriage shenanigans, that kind of Mr. and Mrs. Smith thing going on, and there's a cute psychic baby with Bonnie energy in it. And that was the point where I sat right the fuck up, and a few weeks later when Michaela was over, I got around to watching it. And after I was like,
you're not supposed to work! It's incredible, and I'm mad about it.
So Spy X Family is about a spy named Twilight, voiced by Alex Organ, who needs to go undercover to watch over some kind of political target. I wasn't really paying attention to the specifics of Lloyd's mission. Something about a warmongering politician threatening peace and yada 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 Cold War shit.
Understanding me means we'll have world peace?
To do this, he has to pass as an upper crust family man by getting a wife and child and enrolling that child into a prestigious school. To do this, he adopts a little girl named Anya, voiced by Megan Shipman, who unbeknownst to him has psychic powers and can read minds after being experimented on by some cruel people in lab coats. Knowing he's a spy and thinking that's cool, she games the system to get adopted by displaying everything Lloyd is looking for in a kid to help with his mission, assuming that if she does a good job, they'll get to stay together as a family, and she won't have to go back to the orphanages. Wow, that is awkward to say. And she won't have to go back to the group homes she's been in and out of. There we go, I nailed it.
I was just out playing tag with some old guys.
Oh, did you have fun?
Then he meets Yor, voiced by Natalie Van Sistine, an assassin who needs to pretend to be married for personal reasons and to cover up her assassin work. Since it's a mutually beneficial arrangement, they marry and raise Anya together. If you've ever read those fake dating / marriage fics in your life, this is basically it, but with the added twist of a psychic baby they're both slowly growing attached to. Now, because the main character can read minds, there's a lot of internal monologuing in this show. You're always hearing characters' thoughts and feelings on everything, which is unique because it lets the viewer share in Anya's omniscience. This happens even when Anya isn't actually present in a scene. This means the dissonance between thought and on-screen action is played very often for comedy. It also means you get a beat on characters very easily, which is what lets you know right away that both Lloyd and Yor are various degrees of complete fucking disasters. Lloyd's speech and thoughts are very monotone and his expressions are very deadpan. In fact, of the 4 episodes that were out at the time of writing, I only saw him really emote once, and that was to punch someone for making Anya cry. I mean, understandable reaction, I do the same thing. But his deadpan amplifies the fact that he's really not used to dealing with actual actual lives that aren't carefully calculated. He has to pretend to be a widower to Yor and everyone else, but he doesn't actually know how to play that kind of part, so you end up with moments like,
So please make sure that you address me as father.
Papa!
Close enough.
Papa, I want a pistol with a silencer!
Sure, if there's one on sale. Today we're a regular, inconspicuous family.
Papa, please save me!
That's not inconspicuous. I relaxed for a second and all my exhaustion hit at once. I relaxed? How did that even happen?
it's not that he's unfeeling. It's clear in the first episode he doesn't like having to bring in a child for the mission, not because he doesn't like children, but because he really doesn't like bringing a child into danger by getting her mixed up in his mission. It'd be really easy to think that this guy is an unfeeling douche if it weren't for the near constant internal monologuing. Also, he defends sex workers, which is very endearing. See, there's a lot of raw talent on display from Organ. Some people have a hard time appreciating it, but deadpan is actually very difficult to pull off. It's easy to come off more angry or bitter rather than truly deadpan, and there's a lot of humor in doing it right, especially when it's contrasted with the usual overacting you find in most anime.
That's over and over to get brave, like disarming bombs and stuff!
She just described that training montage in her spy cartoon. Sorry. There was a mosquito.
This guy might just be tied with Patty Mattson for the most talented voice actor of all time. Yor is completely different. When she's on the job killing people, she's very collected, but in her personal life, she's a fucking disaster. Even when she's on the job, her real focus is on her personal life, like she's Kim Possible or something. Yeah, she slaughtered a room full of billionaires, but it's no big. Seriously, she can barely hold down conversations. She fumbles constantly in social situations, and she has this nasty habit of getting very absorbed by sharp objects. Also, she's kind of a doormat. Like, there's a point where she's getting this tradwife manifesto spewed at her by anime Christy Golden and her Karen friends, and she just stands there and takes it. It's not even a collected, I could kill you in an instant. Just like, what?
You're saying you have a favorable impression of my physical appearance?
Why Eden College, and how do you plan to pass?
What's a normal way to pass? I've seen people pass from a lot of things. Maybe cardiac arrest? Let's see. The denominator is 5, so that's 1 split into 5. Okay, for visualization, let's rip all 4 limbs off of a torso.
How do you do, fellow human? She seems to just switch from being an awkward, fumbling mantis lady to killer queen at the drop of a hat. One moment I love is when a bunch of people kidnap Anya while she's out with Yor and think they're going to be able to blackmail Yor for her wallet, but like, we've already seen Yor demonstrate multiple times that she has Banshee Queen levels of hyper-competence when it comes to violence, so...
You so quick it'll make your head spin! You broke that barehanded?
I am that girl's mother, do you hear me?
You know the moment they start talking about mugging Yor that this can only go one way. I also like the part where they acknowledge that fighting in stilettos is a terrible idea.
She might actually kill me.
Actually, the entire episode with her brother is a fucking riot. Okay, so her brother is a spy hunter and just found out that Yor's married. So when he goes to visit, he's a little weird.
What do the two of you like to call each other?
I call her Yor?
Your? But that's our thing!
That's her name, it's her fucking name! He's got a bug up his ass about Lloyd, but honestly it comes off like he wants to fuck him.
What does she see in this chump anyway? So what if he can cook? He's tall, handsome,
Need me to get
thoughtful.
you anything else, Yor?
A doctor? He's...
So then he goes completely batshit bonkers and believes they're faking their marriage because they were weird about touching hands. I mean, come on, it's the 50s. Premarital hand-holding? What kind of a decadent slut are you?
Mama, wanna hold hands?
Yes, that sounds delightful.
And says that if they don't kiss right now, he's going to have their marriage annulled, which is apparently a thing he can do. Dude ran the gamut of suspicious to randomly incestuous to bisexual to voyeuristic in about 15 minutes. The entire Breyer family is from space.
'Cause I forgot that I had forgotten to tell you that I'd gotten married.
Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to take your word for it. Sorry.
That worked?
This is a professional assassin. Okay, so Yor is a lot of fun, especially in one episode where she's drunk, but I mean, I'd be lying if I said she wasn't the weakest character. I mean, she's funny, certainly, but very little about her is interesting. Even the show can find little for her to do other than be adorable with Anya, or kick someone's ass, or fumble with human interactions like the mantis lady she is. And given how a lot of the other women in the show are characterized, I wasn't joking earlier, it does feel like it's written by Christy Golden sometimes. Oh wait, it was originally a comic book. Okay, mystery solved, everybody. These are two very different kind of complete fucking disasters being held together by the ulterior motives of a small child. I'm serious, they get together in a marriage of convenience because Anya hears that she's an assassin, thinks having a spy and assassin for parents would be cool, and immediately starts playing up the guilt knowing her father is looking for a wife for his mission.
Oh, poor me. I'm so lonely because I've got no mama.
This child has a plan. It's a plan I vibe with. Speaking of which, the main character, Anya Forger, is fucking adorable. She's a mischievous little chaos baby who uses her telepathy for evil. And by evil, I mean manipulating her parents into getting cookies, hugs, cartoons, and adventures. So, you know, the good kind of evil. She was experimented on in a lab, and that's how she got her telepathy, and from there, she kept getting adopted and returned by parents after they discovered her mind-reading powers. After getting adopted by Lloyd, she keeps her telepathy a secret, but uses it liberally to get her way, and also just for shits and giggles. And because she's, you know, a baby, she's a little wacky.
I'm being sold at traffickers.
You won't if you behave. We've experienced the finest music, so now for the finest art the world has to offer.
Look, she has boobies. I can see them.
I love this child. She's the major selling point of the show. Like, the awkwardness of the two people who do the wet work for a living is fun, but it's Anya that makes the show work. Oftentimes, so much of the drama rests on whether or not she'll be able to navigate the minefield of what Lloyd needs her to do for his mission. Like befriending a politician's kid instead of laying him out like a total badass.
It's the first day of school and she's already lost a point. And her relationship with Damien may prove unsalvageable.
It's so much drama on the most mundane things, all because it has the backdrop of a spy thriller behind it. So the babies need to be friends, or the Cold War will escalate. I love that. I love that sincere melodrama being tied to a small child. See, because Anya's a telepath, she knows about the mission and so believes that helping the mission succeed will make their family stay together. So she has an immense amount of pressure put on her to help the mission succeed almost unintentionally. See, like in real life, putting that kind of pressure regarding adult issues onto a child is actually a form of child abuse in ordinary situations. But because Anya figures things out herself rather than being directly pressured by Lloyd, it becomes a very intense and fascinating emotional turmoil. This baby's stressing the fuck out, but she's also very small and just wants to be loved, and you want her to have everything she wants, just... I'm too maternal for this show. If you're the kind of socially maladjusted freak of nature who hates all little kid characters on principle, then you shouldn't watch this show, because she's a pretty big part of it, and already there are weebs saying that they wish she would be killed off and calling her antics toxic and manipulative, even though she's 4. Fucking weebs. Actually, shit, to get away from talking about weebs, here's another funny moment I have to point out. Because Lloyd's cover story is that he's a psychiatrist, he uses that as a cover at several points when things go bad. At one point, enemy goons attack them, and he says they're his patients having an episode. When he knocks them out with a metal pipe and Yor asks if he's supposed to hit his patients, he says he's using a new technique involving concussions. And I guess because the staff of Spy Multiplied by Family were worried about demonizing the mentally ill in a cover story, a little text blurb pops up on the screen reading, "This is fiction." Like they were actually worried someone would hit a depressed person on the head after seeing this or something. I love it. Are there any negatives so far? Just one that I'm gonna call inappropriate blushing. Actually, no, it's not a negative, it's just really funny, and I have to point this out. Characters in this show blush a lot. Yor blushes when she's trying to flirt with Lloyd, she blushes looking at a guillotine, she blushes holding a butter knife, she blushes when Anya asks to hold hands.
FBI, open up!
The orphanage guy is always blushing, but I think that's just because he's drunk. Anya blushes basically every time she looks at her father, which half the time is cute, and the other half is,
That's why I'm a spy.
It's not healthy for me to laugh like this. I'm not complaining, seriously. Like, I don't think this says anything about the artists or writers. It's just fun to clown on them every time it happens. Like, I know what you're trying to convey. The message isn't lost or misunderstood, but I'm gonna take the piss out of you anyway because it's fun, and I know that a D-list YouTuber clowning on you for something silly isn't anything close to a real problem for you. Spy to the Power of Family is excellent. It's beautifully charming, exceedingly hilarious, extremely earnest in the way it just takes its own stupid bullshit seriously, and both its plot lines are made to serve very fun characters. The characters are anywhere from adorable to completely off their meds, and it's one of the best cartoons to come from the East I've ever seen. Like, seriously, it's even better than Hamtaro, and that's a high bar to cross. The only reason I can think you wouldn't want to check it out would be because it's an anime, and I'm not going to judge anyone for that. The industry spent much of the 2010s convincing weebs to hyper-consume through some exceedingly disgusting content. The submedium's reputation has been in the toilet for quite some time, with fans propping up only the superficially dark, grim, and dramatic, like a teenager showing you their edgy OC, and weebs themselves are dedicated to being as hostile to newcomers as they can. I don't like anime for these reasons. The content is often disgusting and the fan base even more so. So understand how good it has to be for me to not only admit to watching it in public, but recommend it. And I do. It is surprisingly good. I would definitely suggest everyone give Spy 358 Family Over 2 a watch. Also, does anyone else think Lloyd's kinda hot?